What's up, everyone? It's Tim J here again, here to give my predictions for UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Hall. Coming off a good betting week, I had a couple of really down weeks. A lot of bad luck was going against me, but it's a part of the betting game. Sometimes you're hot, sometimes you're cold. And the card on the weekend cashed on some good underdogs with Imavov, Darren Elkins, Macy Barber, Diana Belbita. Unfortunately missed on Corey Sandhagen, but I thought he won the fight, so that was a bit of a bad beat there. But back at it again for this fight night, and yeah, let's hope that I can continue that good streak. Well, let's hope that I can get my good streak going again. All right, first fight of the card, we have Orion Kosuke versus Philip Rowe. Philip Rowe opened up as a $2.50 underdog, and I think the betting line there is too wide. I think it's a close fight. I think Kosuke, he's the rightful favourite, but he's a fairly inexperienced fighter. And Philip Rowe looked decent in his last fight against that guy that I'm blanking on his name, but he's tough. Gabe Green, yeah. He looked decent in his fight against Gabe Green, and he won at least one of the 3 rounds in that fight. So, in terms of how the fight's going to play out, I think it's going to have a bit of everything. It's going to have stand-ups, it's going to have takedowns from both guys. I think the jiu-jitsu of Philip Rowe is better considering the guys that he trains with. He trains with, blanking on names again. The guy who just beat Dustin Stoltzfus. Yeah, Rodolfo Vieira. He trains with him, so he's got a good ground game. And look, I think he's live for the submission, but I think what's more likely is it's going to be a fairly close back and forward fight. I think Philip Rowe is going to have some good striking exchanges with Kosuke, and I think that the fight's going to go to the judges' scorecards. And if it's going to go to the scorecards, I'd rather be on the guy who's a $2.50 underdog. So I'm picking Philip Rowe, and I'm betting him as well. All right, moving on. Trevin Jones versus Ronnie Lawrence. Try and be quick with this one. I think Ronnie Lawrence, either one of two things is going to happen in this fight. Either Ronnie Lawrence is going to come out, he's going to bring the really high pace that he has, similar to Merab Devashvili, just putting the pace on guys, shooting lots of takedowns, getting them down once and then Matt returning them, doing some kind of pitter-patter ground and pound, but just racking up points and having really good cardio to do that for 15 minutes. So either Ronnie Lawrence is going to do that, and if he does that, I think he's going to beat Trevin Jones, or I think Trevin Jones is going to use that power he has and clip Ronnie Lawrence and knock him out. And that's definitely possible as well, because Ronnie Lawrence comes in with some pretty wild kicks and whatnot. He has his hands down low, so he's clearly hittable. And yeah, there's a decent chance that Trevin Jones hits him with that knockout punch, but I think Ronnie Lawrence probably has a good chin as well. So Trevin Jones opened up as a $2.70 underdog. That line's way too wide. I would have bet it if I could have got $2.70, but I think it's down to about $2.20 now, and I think Ronnie Lawrence is more likely to win. So I'm going to take him by unanimous decision, but I might bet on him by decision, but not sure yet. Next fight of the card, Ashley Yoda versus Jinyu Fry. Yeah, look, this is a close fight. I'm a big Ashley Yoda fan. I just love her personality, and she's clearly a very, very attractive woman. She posts a lot of funny stuff on Instagram. For some ridiculous reason, I thought she might have had a chance of beating Angela Hill, but she just got absolutely dominated in that fight. And when I've rewatched that performance, as well as some of her previous stuff, even her fight against Miranda Granger, she, in my opinion, she's showing signs of slowing down. She's just, it's funny because she's got, she's quite tall and got really got a good reach for the weight class, and she's got a really good chin. She's never been finished, and she's not a quitter. She fights through bad situations, but she's really hesitant to pull the trigger with her strikes, and her strikes have almost no power behind them either. And I mean, she's openly admitted to needing a mental coach to kind of help her with, I think, some of those issues, her ability to pull the trigger. But I think it's just she's getting towards the end of her career and she can't pull the trigger. In contrast, Jinyu Frey, she's looked decent in her last few fights, and I think, look, with women's MMA, often the striking, it's just really kind of scrappy and even, and you might think, unless there's one of the women who's got a clear striking advantage, it can often just be a coin toss. Based on what I can see, I think Jinyu Frey is the better striker. She's got good leg kicks. She sits down in her punches more, and I think she's got more power than Ashley Yoder. So I think if it's 15 minutes of striking, I think Jinyu Frey will land maybe not more volume, but the more significant strikes. And then in terms of the grappling, Ashley Yoder's just got this terrible tendency to try and get people in like a kind of schoolyard headlock. She just comes up, tries to get them under there. I'll use my headphones. Tries to get them under there and wrestle them to the ground, but just doesn't seem to work that much. It's just a very low percentage move. So I'm taking Jinyu Frey to win. I think she wins by decision because Yoda's tough. She's a $2.10 underdog. I'm going to bet her here. Moving on to the next fight, we have Danny Chavez versus Kai Kamaka. Another really, really good matchup. Both of these guys primarily strikers, but they can shoot takedowns as well. Yeah, this... Really not sure where to go with this one. I'm going to take Kai Kamaka to win. Because, taking Kai Kamaka, I think he's going to have slightly more volume. Danny Chavez has got really quick punches, but he's kind of a little bit, he's painfully inaccurate at times. He throws really quickly, but doesn't have the precision needed to really land that good knockout punch. And so I'm not surprised that he hasn't got more knockouts in his career. Yeah, Chavez, I think he's got more power than Kamaka, and Kamaka's been dinged a couple of times in his previous fight, so I do worry about the chin, but I just think, I think he's the way to go here. I think he's the slightly better striker. So, picking Kai Kamaka to win. Not sure if I'm going to bet the fight yet. If I was going to bet, I would probably bet Chavez, but I haven't decided. So, picking Kamaka, but really not that confident. Next fight of the card, Chris Gruetzemacher versus Rafa Garcia. So, this is my most confident pick of the card. I think Rafa Garcia is going to run through Chris Gruetzemacher. Gruetzemacher, he hasn't really shown a good skill set to me. His striking doesn't look great, and he doesn't have a really good ground game either. So, I think there's going to be a lot of people on Rafa Garcia. He opened up as a $1.50 favourite. He's now shortened into at least a $1.40. I think that's right. Potentially a good parlay piece. But I think if you're going to bet, just bet straight. But there's not much value at $1.40 now. So picking Rafa Garcia, really confident in this, but I'm not going to bet the fight myself. Next fight, Colin Anglin versus Melsik Bagdasarian. Bagdasarian. Uh, yeah, both these guys pretty early in their careers. I watched both their contender series fights, and I think Melsik, I think he's a better striker. Anglin's definitely live for a decision win by just mixing in his strikes with takedowns and getting some ground control time. But in Malsik's last fight, he did look very, when he got taken down, he looked really calm, fought the hands, got back to his feet without putting himself in really risky positions. So, uh, based on me, based on what I can see and me feeling like he's the better striker, I'm going to take Melsik Bagdasarian. He was a dollar. Yeah, he's about $1.70 odds now. I'm going to bet him as well, but yeah, it may be a close fight. But yeah, I'm taking him to win. I think. Yeah, once again, I haven't haven't given my method of victory for a lot of these. I'm going to take Bagdasarian. I'm going to take him by decision. Nico Montano versus one Yanan Wu. Sorry, Yanan Wu. Yeah, without disrespect to either of these girls, they're not going to be champion one day. Nico Montano barely fights ever, and look, I think her greatest strength is that she's got a good base and good hips. So often she seems to win fights by just pushing girls up against the cage or waiting for them to shoot on her and then her reversing the position. So I think she's going to be able to take Yanan Wu down, not easily, but I think it's possible that she can. But I don't think Yanan Wu can take her down. Both of these girls, their striking's not great. They don't have really power at all. So I don't think either of them can finish each other on the feet. So yeah, look, I think it's a close fight. I'm gonna pick Yanan Wu to win. Not yeah, yeah. I'm gonna take her to win by decision. Not that confident. Yeah, if Montano gets her on the ground, I think Montano will dominate her. But yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't. Montano's like offensive wrestling isn't that great either. So yeah, taking taking one on yeah Yanan Wu to win by decision. Next fight of the card, we have Brian Barberina versus Jason Witt. So, Jason Witt is a guy that I'm just, doesn't matter how many times he fights, I'm never going to be able to bet this guy. Like, even if he was a $10 underdog, I swear to God, I couldn't bet this guy. When I watched his, when I watched his regional scene footage, because I was curious about whether he had really bad striking because he got knocked out by Takashi Sato, like basically from the first punch of the fight. I was like, is that just unlucky, or does he have a technical deficiency there? And I watched his regional scene footage, and the guy, well, I think one, clearly he's got no chin, but two, he's just a really bad judge of distance. So, like, I'll try and demonstrate it here, right? Like, I've got my hands up, and I want to be out of range to be punched. So, if I put my fist forward, right, I'm not at the camera, so I'm not going to be able to be punched by here. By someone, and that's not even taking into account someone moving forward. But if we're just trading, I'm not going to be able to get punched from this distance, right? This is Jason Witt. When he's not even coming in to strike, he just sits in this range, right? And so, he comes out, sits in this range, doesn't move his head, and then the other guy just throws a punch, pop, hits him on the chin, and he's got no chin, so he's out sleeping. And that's basically why I can never bet Jason Witt. with all of that being said, Brian Barberena is coming off a surgery, a medical issue, in which he nearly died. His wife had to drive him to the hospital. So I think a healthy Barberena would dominate Jason Witt and win by knockout. But I don't know if we've got a healthy Brian Barberena here. So I'm going to pick Barberena to win. I'm going to take him to win by knockout. But there's no way I could ever bet this fight because of the uncertainty around Barberena's health and then Jason Witt's terrible technical deficiencies. So that's how I see that fight. And yeah, definitely not betting it. Next fight of the card, we have Ryan Benoit. I think some people say Benoit, but technically you're supposed to say Benoit. Let's just say Benoit. Ryan Benoit versus Zaruk Adashev. So I think this is going to mainly be a striking battle, unless Benoit changes his style. I think it's mostly going to be a striking battle. I think it's going to be close. It's going to go to the decision. And I think Adashev's going to win 2-1. So it's not a hugely confident pick. Adashev is about a $2.20 underdog, but I think he's a shot here. So I'm picking him and betting him as well. Next fight of the card, it was supposed to be Nicholas Stolze versus Mounir Lazzez. Mounir Lazzez no longer on the card. Looks like he's been replaced with Jared Gooden. I'm basically doing this fight on the fly. Yeah, I think a Nicholas Stolze is the better fighter than Gooden. Going to be very interested to see what the odds will be. But it'll be a close fight. Gooden could wrestle Stolze, get some good ground control time, and potentially steal a round that way, and then win another round with his striking. But I think he's a better striker than Gooden. So, yeah, taking Stolze to win, and I'm going to say decision. But he's alive for the knockout. Gooden got dinged a couple of times in his last fight. Gloria DePaula versus Cheyenne Buys. Yep, I'm going to take Cheyenne Buys to win by decision. I think the deciding factor here is going to be her volume. So I think DePaula's got the range advantage, but she hasn't shown me a skill set that she's going to, basically jab and 1-2 and keep Buys on the outside. I think Buys is going to be able to get inside. She throws quick. She throws like 4-punch combinations. So I'm going to take her to win, but I think DePaula's tough, so I think Buys will win by decision. And I might potentially bet Buys by decision, but I haven't decided yet. The line's not out, so I haven't. Yeah, the prop lines, they're not out, so I can't say if I'm going to bet them or not. I've got to see the value, but it'll probably be about $2 for her to win by decision. So it's decent value there. I might have a bet on that. But yeah, definitely picking Buys. Co-main event, we have Kyung Ho Kang versus Rani Yahya. So I'm picking and I'm betting Rani Yahya. He is the underdog. It's a close fight. Basically, I think Kang hasn't fought the best level of competition. And I think Yahya is clearly, he is the superior grappler. And even though he's the older fighter, I don't think Kang has fought someone on the level of Yahya in terms of his grappling. So I think Yahya is going to be able to get Kang to the ground, and I think he's live for a submission or alive for a decision win. So I'm going to bet Yahya, but not that confident. Yeah, but I think he's definitely the value side there. And that brings us to the main event of the evening, Uriah Hall versus Sean Strickland. Try and keep this one fairly simple. I think, yeah, these guys are just on different trajectories. Hall's aging. He looked decent against Anderson Silva, but that fight was kind of set up for him. 5-rounder. He only really needs to land one good punch on Silva to get the knockout at that stage in Silva's career. I think Strickland's got the better chin. I think he's going to come forward. He's going to pressure Hall. And I think he's going to land on him. I think he's going to do that en route to a second or third round TKO. Yeah, Strickland is the $1.50 favourite. I think that line, $1.50 favourite when I saw it. I think he might even be shorter now, but I think that line is justified. And yeah, I'm picking him, but there's not much value there for the bet. So yeah, taking him to win. And yeah, I'm quite confident on that one. All right, guys, that's it. Those are my bets and prediction. I hope everyone enjoys the card, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.